Hi, I'm Lucie and welcome to French with Lucie. So today we're gonna focus on French pronunciation. We'll talk about silent letters since it's quite challenging when you're learning French. So let's see those silent letters. Let's go. Okay, so we'll first pay attention to the letter E. E. So E in French. So every time you see this letter at the end of a word, it's never pronounced. So for example, like rue, rue, librairie, librairie, pharmacie, pharmacie. And also pay attention to, for example, petit, petite, grand, grande. So every time you see this letter at the end of a word, it's never pronounced and you stop at the letter before, like petite, grande. So you pronounce the T and you pronounce the D, but not the E. And it's also silent when it comes in between a word. So like paiement, lentement, passeport. So you don't say passeport, but passeport. But there are some exceptions. So with those tiny words like je, me, se, te, there you have to pronounce the final E. But be careful, this is a common mistake. So when you have an accent on the E, so just like this, so we say un E accent aigu. And this one is pronounced. And the sound you have to make is E. E. So look at those examples. So for example, you have je mange, but j'ai mangé. J'étudie, j'ai étudié. Je travaille, j'ai travaillé. So when it doesn't have an accent, it's silent. And when it does have an accent, it is pronounced like E. So now let's have a look at other silent letters. Let's go. I think that you might have seen some funny memes about French pronunciation. So for example, like French speakers saying that they don't pronounce every letter, so that they don't pronounce anything. And yeah, that's true. So basically, every consonant can be silent, but there is a small trick. So you have to keep in mind the word careful. The word careful, careful. And there is also another word that people don't like very much, so Lucifer. But yeah, so careful or Lucifer. And here you have to pay attention to every consonant of the word careful. So those consonants there can be silent at the end of a word, but most of the time they are pronounced. So let's pay attention to the letter C. So for example, you have so lac, sac, parc. Donc j'habite près d'un parc où il y a un lac. So you see here, every time the C is pronounced. But be careful because you can have some words like porc, estomac, where the C is not pronounced. Then, let's have a look at the letter R. So the letter R, in general, is always pronounced, like peur, hier. For example, j'ai eu très peur hier. J'ai eu très peur hier. And you can also have or, car. Donc, c'est de l'or. And there, the R is pronounced. But be careful when you have a combination of ER, both letters make the sound E together. Like, for example, in some verbs, like manger, travailler, étudier, parler, So you see here, you don't pronounce the R alone. Together with the E, it makes the sound E. Then, so in the word careful, we still have F and L. So let's talk about that. So with the L, so the F first, so you can say donc, chef positif. Donc le chef est toujours positif. So here the F, the final F is pronounced. And then the L, so like for example in professionnel, avril, or animal. And you can say je suis professionnel. But here again, you have some exceptions. So with the F, so you have nerf or des œufs. So this is really tricky. When you have one egg, you say un œuf. So there, the F is pronounced. You hear it, un œuf. But when you change it to the plural, you say des œufs, des œufs. So the F disappears. It's still there in the spelling, but you don't pronounce it. And then the L, you can have some words like outil, gentil, ail, where the L is not pronounced. So most of the time when you have IL, so you have this longer E at the end of a word. So like gentil, outil. So you just pronounce the E and not the L. So now let's have a look at the most common silent letters in French. Let's go. So now we're going to speak about the most common silent letters in French, but you can always find some exceptions, so where those letters are pronounced at the end of a word. So let's begin with the letter D. So for example, you have il fait chaud, il fait froid, or j'ai chaud, j'ai froid, where the D is silent. So, je suis d'accord, il est tard, or je connais un allemand grand et gourmand. So you see all those words end in D and you don't pronounce the D, so the D is silent. As I used to say to my students, I just say to them, you know, it's just like the correction. But sometimes there's an explanation. So like for example, gourmand, so it's an adjective, and when you want to make it feminine, so you add an E and then the D is pronounced. Donc gourmand, gourmande. Donc gourmand for the masculine, gourmande for the feminine, and there you pronounce the D. But as I said, so you can have some exceptions, so like here with the D, sud. Donc j'habite dans le sud, and then sud, the D is pronounced. So now let's see the letter G, G en français. Donc G. And this one also is silent at the end of a word, so like sans, sans, long, point. Donc sans, long, point. And also the letter H, H. So this one comes in front at the beginning of a word, and it is always silent. So you don't do this aspiration like in English. So for example, in English you would say hospital, but in French it is written with an H, but you say hôpital. Hôpital. And for example, haricot too. And it is also silent when it comes in between a word. So like for example, inhabituel, inhabituel, or bonheur, bonheur. So now let's talk about the P. So you have some words like beaucoup, trop, sirop, drap, sept, and there the P is silent, but you have sleep, and then the P is pronounced. So you have the same with the letter S. Donc, j'ai un cours de français à Paris. J'ai un cours de français à Paris. Or, j'ai un cours d'anglais à Bruxelles. J'ai un cours d'anglais à Bruxelles. So you see there, so you have a lot of words with an S at the end and it's not pronounced. So you also have toujours, jamais, temps, like for example, quel beau temps, or quel mauvais temps. And so you also have like progrès, succès, mais, avis. Quel est ton avis? Colis, j'ai reçu un colis. And vous, discours. But again, you have some exceptions actually, like ours, cactus, bus, and plus. So plus, sometimes the S is pronounced and sometimes it's not. So I've made a video about this, so if you want to watch it, feel free to do so. So I'm going to make it appear here and I'm going to leave the link here in the description below. So let's move on with the letter T. So for example, the letter T, you have salut, salut. You have also accent. J'ai un accent français. J'ai un accent français. So you have also interdit, interdit. And for example, le magasin était ouvert. À l'aéroport, j'ai fait des achats. Le magasin était ouvert. À l'aéroport, j'ai fait des achats. So you see here, you have a lot of words where the T is silent, it is not pronounced. And also you have some exceptions again. So I think that French is the language of exceptions. You have exceptions everywhere. And so here, for example, you have est, ouest, aussi but et test. Donc j'ai un test. Donc j'ai un test. Voilà. So here you see the final T is pronounced. So now let's move on to X. X. So this one is always silent. So for example, like je fais de mon mieux. Je fais de mon mieux. So you see mieux, you don't pronounce the X, so the X. And you have, for example, c'est mon choix, c'est mon choix, c'est faux, c'est faux. Je te présente mon époux, je te présente mon époux. And j'ai deux enfants, j'ai deux enfants. So this is something interesting here, right? So you don't pronounce the X, but when you have a vowel sound coming after it, so like enfant, so you make what we call liaison in French. So you pronounce the X like Z. So j'ai deux enfants. And then you have, again, an exception like in duplex. Duplex. And there the X is pronounced. And let's finish this with the letter Z. So the letter Z is most of the time silent, like for example, j'ai mal au nez, j'ai mal au nez. Je mange du riz, je mange du riz. And also, je vais chez des amis, je vais chez des amis. Or j'en ai assez, j'en ai assez. So you see here, the Z is never pronounced, but you can have, for example, the word gaz, gaz. And there the Z is pronounced. So I think that now you might be wondering, but Lucie, how can I know when a silent letter is pronounced and when it's not? So actually, that's a really good question. So, and I might say, I'm really sorry. There is no answer to this question. So it comes with practice. And so you have to practice a lot. And you will get used to the words. And when you know a word, so you will know whether you have to pronounce the final letter or not. So, and for this, so you can, for example, listen to songs. And so my advice is don't just listen to songs and just to make it fun and because you want to listen to French songs. So you have to listen to French songs and at the same time read the lyrics. So you will see how the words are written and how you pronounce them. And you can do the same with, for example, movies or series. So you can watch the movies and the series with French subtitles, and then you will hear the words and read them at the same time. And so you will see when a letter is silent and when it's not. And it will help you a lot. So so that's it. So that's all I can say to it. So you're very courageous to learn French, and I hoped that you learned a lot with this video and that it's helped you. And if it is the case, just give a thumbs up here and don't forget to subscribe to have more videos like that. Thanks for watching and I hope to see you soon. Bye!